Hi guys, welcome to the All Things Tennis YouTube channel. Today we're going to be talking about racket weights, what that means, and also what type of player should be using what weight. If you like our videos and you like this one, please give it a like and subscribe, it really helps the channel. Thanks, and I hope you enjoy the video. Okay, so the first one we're going to talk about, I picked this racket to show you is because we have every single weight division of this particular frame in store. From the start of it, you might think they're all the same racket, okay? They're the same design, Pure Aero, same colors, but the weight range goes up, okay? So the first one in this range is the super light. So we're gonna look at adult rackets to give you an understanding of the weight, what you should be using. This comes in at 255 grams unstrung, okay? So normally strings add 10 grams, 10 to 15 grams when it's strung up to a racket, okay? So bear that in mind, okay, when you're thinking about what weight to go for. But as I said, 255 grams unstrung. So it's the lightest adult racket we do, okay? Full size adult racket, but it's 255 grams. It means it's very light, it's very easy to play with. Who would it suit? Okay, really, the one I recommend this for is a transition racket. So that's someone that's using a 26 going to a 27-inch racket, okay? 26 might weigh 240 grams anyway, so it's a similar weight, but the added length you're going to, you really need to keep weight down for juniors so they can handle the 27-inch racket. Okay, so that's a transition racket first and foremost in my mind. However, if you're a player looking for the lightest racket, okay, going, then because it helps to develop racket head speed, maybe you're volleying at the net and you want maneuverability while still being fairly solid, this is a good racket. Okay, so you have a static weight of a racket, which I said 255 grams. However, the balance of the racket, the way the weight's distributed in a racket, makes a really big difference. So this racket, 255 grams, if I said to you, is it going to be head light or head heavy? The answer is definitely head heavy, okay? The weight is going to be in the head. The reason they do that, okay, is to make sure that there's still some stability in the frame. If the weight was evenly distributed and it was 255, you'd struggle to get any power behind it. It would feel a bit unstable on shots. So lighter rackets tend to be head heavy, okay? Heavier rackets tend to be head light, so weight in the handle, okay? So that's one thing to think about as well when we're talking about the weights, that you could have a racket 255 grams, and if all the weight's in the head, okay, and you've got a racket 265, all the weight is on the handle, they're going to feel like probably the 265 is going to come through the air quicker. You might even feel lighter. It's the way the balance affects the racket, okay? So next up, the Aero Light, okay? So this is the same frame, same head size, etc., but it's 270 grams unstrung. Who are we looking for this type of player? So it's a step up from the transition weight, so 255, so maybe that same player 2 years later, 12, 13, looking at that sort of frame. Female players tend to use, as a general rule, a lighter racket. 270 is quite a common racket weight that we sell to female club players looking for a lightweight racket, as well as that teenager 12 to 15 range, okay? This is what I'd recommend people try if they're looking for something lightweight. It's that step up from the 255 in terms of weight. So what's going to be the major differences between 255 and 270? Well, it's going to be the way the racket does more of the work for you, okay? The heavier racket is going to feel more stable on impact, okay? It's probably going to be a little bit less head heavy, okay? And the weight is still going to be head heavy, but it's going to be a little bit less so, okay? In comparison to 255, but it's perfect for that kind of intermediate, beginnerish level that wants a lightweight racket. If you're late on the shot or you're running out of time, technique's not perfect, maybe it's easy to get through the ball, and you can be late on your shot, you can whip it round, you can defend with it quite nicely, okay? So that's 270. Okay, best guess of what weight's coming next in this frame seems to be a plus 15 gram weight range on these Aeros, okay? So this one, 285. 285 for me, okay, is a weight that I wouldn't say top female players should use 285. I think they should use 300. However, we do see a fair amount of very good female players go for this sort of weight, the 285, okay, in terms of the weight. And also it's really well suited to, say, a teenager between 14 to 16. So they haven't quite filled out in terms of they're not fully grown. That's a good thing that keeps the weight down at 285 compared to like the 300-gram version of this racket, okay? Also, male players that maybe are looking for a bit more manoeuvrability, the same reasons why a female might go 270, a male will go 285 for that manoeuvrability factor. You know, if you're at the net, you need quick hands, or maybe you're, finding yourself you're having to adjust your grip so that you're thinking a bit more as you're hitting. It's not quite as autonomous. This helps because you can whip it through quickly, okay? 285, these are actually surprisingly stable, okay? The balance point is going to be less head heavy. It's going to be more even balanced, okay, when you're hitting with it. Obviously, you've got the clap and things like this, so don't take that as written that it's even balanced. It's a nice solid weight, 285. It's going to feel stable enough that a good player would be able to use it, okay? But the benefit of going up a weight, 300 grams. Let's think about the most popular rackets on the market. So your Pure Drives, your Pure Aeros, your Radical NPs, Technifiber RS305, so very similar. Wilson, the Blade, is at 305, the most popular model. Around 300 grams and 5 grams either side is the most popular weight of racket. The reason that is because it's still manoeuvrable. You know, rackets used to be so much heavier. Obviously the head size is getting bigger on rackets, it's 100 square inch, obviously the most popular head size. It now allows it to be manoeuvrable at 300 grams, while also doing enough of the work for you. 300 gram rackets tend to be relatively stiff, the most common ones, so the Pure Drives, Pure Aeros, as I said, the other brands, they tend to be relatively stiff. 300 grams power rackets, most of them 16, 19 string pattern, 100-inch head. It's a winning formula. That racket, that weight at 300, the head size 100 square inches, and the string pattern 16, 19 is what a lot of brands go for now, and it's like the flagship models. If you're not unsure, and you're trying to develop your technique, maybe you're still an intermediate, but you're really trying to take lessons or develop your technique, I'd advise go for 300 rather than the 285, because you're not going to find you outgrow the racket. This is going to be stable enough for you right up to a very advanced level. There's, we talked about the 298 Eager racket designed for her. She's playing on the WTA Tour, and it's 298 grams. It's a racket weight used by very good players, 300 grams. Okay. Is that the same racket as the last one and all the others? Not quite. It's 315 grams unstrung, the Aero Tour. Okay, so this is definitely going to be a little bit headlight. The weight's going to be a little bit more on the handle, okay? You can see it slightly moves down from that position. Okay, that helps maneuverability. 315 grams unstrung is a pretty beefy racket, okay? They tend to, as I say, be a little bit more manoeuvrable than the weight might suggest because of headlight balance, but you're going to find a lot of stability. If you're a player that's, in the gym, physically quite strong, and is playing 3-4 times a week, this is the kind of weight for you, I'd say. Or if you're maybe a more traditional player, you're not needing that super high racket head speed, and maybe you come through a little bit flatter on your strokes, that weight helps. You'll find this kind of, it almost eats through the ball. The racket just comes through so nicely with a heavier weight. If you haven't tried a heavier weight racket, give it a go, demo with us. You find it does a lot more of the work for you, super stable, and for me it's a nicer feel. Okay, so you want to play with a racket that's relatively heavy, but you can still handle and whip through. So 315 grams at Aero Tour. It's one of Babolat's heaviest frames, I believe. You've got maybe the Pure Strike Tour, I think that's 320 off the top of my head. But it's definitely one of the heavier frames. They don't go to the lengths of a Wilson Autograph, which is 340. 315 is an advanced level player's racket. Please don't go 315 if you're new to tennis. You're not going to get the advantages out of it. You can find it maybe a bit sluggish. It needs racket head speed, it needs long swings to really get the benefit out of this, okay? One thing I'm just going to mention, lighter rackets tend to be made stiffer. Okay, so if you're struggling with tennis elbow, it relates back to the strings and the stiffness of the racket. Lighter rackets, more head heavy, tend to be stiffer. Your player's rackets, so like a V-Core Pro, a heavier racket like that, they're going to be less stiff, a bit more flexible, prestige, maybe a bit more flexy, okay, in terms of how it's designed. That is a racket at 315 for an advanced level player, but with the correct technique, they're not going to get much tennis elbow, and that's why they're a little bit more flexible. Light rackets at 260, 250 grams that we talked about, they're stiff, okay? So don't string them with full polyester and expect it not to give you any arm problems. They will do, because they're not designed for that. If you're going for a light racket for your junior or yourself, please string it with a multi-filament or at least a hybrid, because they're designed to be a little bit stiffer. Thanks for watching the video. That's the end of the video for today in terms of weights and rackets. Hopefully you're in a good position to be able to maybe purchase a new racket with us, or you just have a good advice of what you should be doing in terms of choosing a racket. One thing I will say is that you can add weight to existing rackets. Lead tape, maybe at 3 and 9 o'clock, adds a bit of stability. If your racket's a little bit heavy for you and you want to add more headlight, be able to whip through the top of the frame quicker, add a leather grip, make the balance more headlight. We talked about adding weight to the bottom of the frame. Thanks for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button if you want more videos like this.